Hello, everyone, and welcome to Joda Priest Live Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Osako Marie Jemo, a business development and marketing strategist. I am the CEO and founder of Joda Priest IMBS LLC. Now, today we have a very special guest. I am so excited to have him online.
Finally.
So we have a very special guest with us. It's Dr. Thomas Mallory Hill. He is the founder and owner of Thomas Mallory Hill and Associate. He is the ambassador of the Alanable Alliance of Naperville. And during the campaign of Local Business Person of the Year, Dr. Hill ranked on the top 10 in 2025 and top 20 in 2024. And this is on the national level. So that means the state and provinces on the North America. And he is the number one local business person of Illinois State. Wow. We are so blessed to have him today. So we are very excited to dive into this conversation. Dr. Hill is going to talk to us about his business, who he is, what he's doing. We are just blessed to have him on this platform. Dr. Hill,
Well,
it's great to have you.
thank you for having me, Dr. Marie. I appreciate being here.
You're welcome. So, without taking a lot of time, please go ahead and introduce yourself. I know I said something. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, one of the things that you didn't say, I think you asked this and that just came to me, was that in the last, say, 5 years, is when I was introduced to Alignable, but I did so at the behest of a brother who had been on the platform, but also a lot of educators, of which I'm one, have been in education, public education for 46 years here in the state of Illinois. And that's one of the doctorates that qualifies me to be a superintendent in one of the 901 school districts. However, having said that, my last assignment was at a middle school in one of the south suburbs of Chicago, where I served as a librarian. Subsequent to maybe 3 years ago, suffering a temporary disability. I haven't been back in the classroom, although I've recertified for the next 5 years. It's interesting that teachers and administrators don't get paid enough money. I don't care what state you're in. But what's interesting about that is I've been able to develop some of the resources to be in business for myself, and I've leveraged that after 45 years of financial services and then with education, is educating people about how to use a really fantastic tool that's known as Alignable, and leveraging this expertise to continue to guide others to greatness, to continue to guide both children, students, adults to things that are of interest to them. And one of those things is being a part of the network marketing industry as a professional. All that means is I take the craft seriously. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, but it's always have been about people.
Fantastic. Wow. I like the way you finished this section here. It's about people. And I know that I've known you for, I want to say 3 years, but I'm like, I don't think so.
It's been a minute though.
It has been, yeah, it has been a very good journey. And in these few months, when I was able to reach out to you and we connected and started working together, I found out that Dr. Hill is not just a business person, but he's a godly man. He's a people person. He's a person, as I always say, a community builder person.
Yeah, you've given me that title. I'm a community builder, a community connector. Yeah.
A community connector. So I want you did mention earlier about Alanable. Would you
Mhm.
please talk to us a little bit about Alanable?
Well, for me, serving in the capacity as an ambassador, really for me, it's the ability of the heart of people who are in business for themselves. I've heard leaders call it in another organization, those of us who are psychologically unemployable. We do not see ourselves working for others, and we're spending all of our time and energy. Maybe our families think we're nuts. That's the short definition of psychologically unemployable. We must be insane because we're working really hard for peanuts. We're working really hard for not having significant revenues at the beginning of our journey. But on Alignable, maybe 75, if probably not 90% of those people are in direct sales. And if you're in business for yourself and you're not good at sales or marketing, you better get there or find somebody who is. So we all have different strengths and weaknesses. I've learned of the hundreds and probably thousands in my case of people I've had the opportunity to meet over the last 3 or 4 years. Uh, People are hurting. People want additional revenue. But at the same time, many people have an employee attitude still. They haven't made the switch from being the boss or the guy or gal in charge to waking up in the morning with a purpose and with the intent of making their communities better, making their world a better place. And by that I mean not only just your business community, but also your family. Um, Many of us are struggling because we don't think we have enough income. But the real truth of the matter is we're also struggling spiritually. And many of us have not succumbed or surrendered to God to follow his footsteps relative to what he plans for us. And not just in tithing, but in loving your neighbor as yourself, in being sacrificial, in being that father or that mother, being that parent to your children, or in some cases, our parents are maybe four-legged children, or maybe this is other businesses, whether it's online or brick and mortar. All of that is to say, we wake up in the morning with a hunger and a thirst and an enthusiasm for life. And for me, I can apply those skills to people who I meet on Alignable to help them find the right kind of person for their business, because that's exactly what I'm looking for, whether they be an ideal customer or an ideal referral partner. You still want enough of the right kind of person, not just throwing things up against the wall and hope some stick, some don't. It's really finding quality people that you want to build a business with. You being one of those people.
Absolutely. I'm being one of those people, and I can really testify to what you're saying. And at the beginning, you mentioned something that I know I did not ask a lot of questions on that when you talked about a little bit about your disability, not being able to go back in the classroom. I'm sorry that that kind of, it just triggered me now. I know I have never spoken with you on that level. I'm so sorry about that. But hearing you talking and knowing who you are today, with God being the one promoting you while you are promoting other people, I understand how you're turning the being the psychologically unemployed. You turn that positively to kind of help other people to be not just finding a job, but trying to build something for themselves. That
Yes.
is very powerful. That
Yeah.
is very powerful. And what would you say if somebody says, Dr. Hill, I really want to do something for myself, but I don't have any resources. I don't have people that I can rely on who can show me the way. What can you say to somebody like that?
Well, it's what this sign behind me says. I'm blocking, I know some of the words, but it says, "What is redox?" And
Mhm.
5 years ago, I didn't know what redox was. And for those who are trying to find additional revenue, maybe it's just to put more gas in their car, or a few groceries in the cupboard, or maybe it's to pay down some debt, or maybe it's just to have a better lifestyle. All of us, in this economy today, it's like a side gig, right? It's a hustle. For me, 5 years ago, when I heard about redox, which is a contraction of two words, redox is stands for reductants and oxidants. Those two words are in the medical and dental profession as a process of how hydrogen and oxygen, sodium and chloride as elements, atoms, and the 16 electrons that make up those compounds, salt and water, that's what we're made of. And
Mhm.
what I learned and am still learning, and people who want to make extra money who have different health challenges. In fact, I just sent a message to a gentleman that you're familiar with. I won't necessarily say his name, but he's a pastor in Uganda that we're
Okay.
trying to build a distribution global channel network that we can take these molecules, which are designed to repair and replace and rejuvenate ourselves so that it will help the body turn on itself and heal itself. The only difficulty with this technology is that as we get older from puberty going forward, and it's different for every person in every part of the world, our environments are different,
Mhm.
but it slows down the anti-aging process. It helps the body heal. For me, for 5 years, I've had a medical challenge that involved a, a condition called CHF or congestive heart failure. It's prevalent in my family. Um, in 21, I was diagnosed with this particular disease that there was no cure for, they called it. And I was told to get my affairs in order, which I did. But I was already on this technology and changing my diet and having had other metabolic challenges, like many people are prevalent to have. We've seen one metabolic change in the last 20 years where diabetes has quadrupled from the late 70s to the 80s to now. Uh, uh, Other, metabolic changes, high blood pressure, things that conditions that we are unaware of, but the medical profession and many practitioners are not fully aware of how the body really works. And yet this technology was introduced in I don't know, I guess you could say in a way that is kind of done like you would go to a restaurant or a movie. You heard about it. Hey, did you hear about something that could help you heal this? Or
Mm.
did you know that there was a friend who was in a wheelchair for 30 years and now he's not? Or people would say, well, there's this new snake oil and you got to try this. This is not that. The body already produces redox signaling molecules. We just are deficient at 1% a year. So if you're 50 years of age, from the time of your birth, you have 50% of the molecules that are in your body to help you heal. But you also don't look like you did when you were a baby if you're 50. So
Mhm.
now if you're 50 and if the Lord is gracious to you and you live to be 100, you're not going to look at 100 like you look today. Well, what if you could slow that process down with less wrinkles or with less or maybe having more energy and more vitality? We all want that. And that's what the ASEA redox signaling molecules, the only one in the world today, it's got a 16-year leap ahead of anything or anybody else that's close to this. And you'd want everybody to know about it. But like the gospel of Jesus Christ, everybody rejects, or everybody hasn't heard, or everybody doesn't believe. It doesn't make the product, the technology or the product bad or not good, because it does work. It's impossible not to work, but it's the individual's expectations that are false or misleading. And those who are trying to distribute this technology to be the silver bullet, to be the be all end all, I think for me, is not the way to educate the public. It is to give them hope that's in a bottle that if for by chance, and I'm still here today, and my A1C, I'll just say these numbers, it doesn't mean anything to the public necessarily. But when you've had a double digit A1C glucose level in the regions between 12 and 14, and today for the last 3 years, my doctors and endocrinologists are confused because I've been hovering between 5 and 5.2, which is normal as a person who's not diabetic. Or your blood pressures are within 100 to 60s and 70s, both systolic and diastolic. Or my weight, while it's being stabilized, I'm not as big as I used to be at 345 pounds, but I think at 280, 270, I go up and down. I'm not bad looking for a 70-year-old, but I could lose my heart, my back would say, dude, could you lose a little bit more weight? Because, these bones ain't what they used to be. All of that, Murray, is something that is unbelievable until you experience it. And yet, it's unfortunate that people don't have enough faith either in the person who is bringing this message to them, or they may not have the sufficient funds to sustain it. But we will spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on pharmaceuticals that we get from people in white coats who write on pieces of paper that we can't read, to take it to another person in a white coat that has to decipher what the person in the first white coat gave, and then ask, and do not ask, we do not ask how it's manufactured. Why should I take it in a pill or in a liquid, or why is it this color? And we take that faithfully, thinking that our bodies are going to be healed, when actually we're introducing other substances that are detrimental to our bodies. You could ask anybody who has abnormal cell growth, who are either using therapies like immunotherapy or chemotherapy like my sister, and finding alternative ways for the body to handle abnormal cell growth and metabolic indifferences. All that comes from the education of what redox signaling does in the body. And just something very simply, breathing is a redox biochemical process. It is the exchange of energy molecules and oxygen, that we take oxygen in and we breathe carbon out. That in and out is a redox signaling process.
Wow, that's a crash course right there. Wow. Thank you so much for doing that. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Wanted to be thorough.
ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Dr. Hill. So he's explaining to us and is advocating about the redox, and as you heard him saying, it's gonna help you restore your
Your
I want to say
vitality.
vitality,
Yeah.
and also it can support your cellular signaling, right?
Mhm.
Like when
Correct.
you're breathing, and
Yep.
all of that. It also promotes anti-aging
Mhm.
benefits. It allows you to stay younger for a long time.
Correct.
So, Dr. Hill, you look good yourself, by the way.
Well,
I
thank
should
you.
say this.
Well, thank you. So do you, but thank you. And you're not even taking relapse yet. So you want to get in it as soon as possible, so you can stay as beautiful as you are today.
Thank you. Thank you. Probably I should jump in very
Just
soon,
jump in the
right?
pool. The water's fine. Yes.
Very good. Now, I did a little bit of research and I see that the redox, it's not meant only to individual. People are
Yes.
using it also for pets, for plants. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, not to get too sciencey and to lose the audience, but is this really something simple? The
Mm-hmm.
way it was explained to me 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that every plant and every animal and every single cell animal on the planet starts with an egg, and for us as humans, a sperm. And once those two are together, they begin to divide and turn into, from different stages of birth, a blastosphere and a zygote. It goes to these metamorphoses, much like a caterpillar would, or like a seed when it's planted. It doesn't become a tree, but until it dies and begins to take root in the ground, everything is in common. It's something we all have. It's called mitochondria. And the
Mm-hmm.
mitochondria are thousands and thousands of little bitty battery energy cells. And those cells are made up of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. ATP is the energy, the fuel that the mitochondria need to do its job. And signals are sent through our lymphatic systems, through our immune systems, through our blood systems, through the blood, through everything, our nervous systems, all the systems of the body, as well as plants and animals, is how we grow. It's how messages in our DNA are coded. You're going to be the bone. You're going to be the left eye. You're going to be the stem. You're going to be the root. You're going to be the fruit. Everything has a place. Everything has a time in order for its development. For girls, obviously, if we look at both of our chest areas, you guys develop something called breasts. Uh, and it sustains life for those that we give sustenance to upon birth. Men don't
Yes.
have that ability. And so the difference between male and female has to do with messaging in our DNA that we know. But we all have mitochondria. We all get energy from ATP, plants and animals. It may be called something different. I'm not a biologist, I'm an educator. But
Mhm.
this, to be clear, the best way to test something is to try it. And when you see plants revive or when you see animals, they can't give testimonies. When you see them healed and get better, when we get better over time, we didn't get ill over time.
Mm.
I was just thinking about my own challenge as with diabetes from 1996, and today, 3 years later, I go to my endocrinologist and they're astounded. But I'm also not eating Hostess Twinkies and Ding Dongs every day or chocolate chip cookies. You know, I do cheat like everybody, but I control the macronutrients and try to supply the micronutrients that my body needs. It's just like your vehicles. I want my body, my vehicle to be running at maximum efficiency with the right amount of fuel. So if I'm putting sugar in my tank instead of, the right octane level for my vehicle to run, it's probably not going to run as efficiently as if it had the right amount of fuel. And whatever we could do, the coenzymes, the fructose, all the things that make up micronutrients, we need to supply. The body needs.
Thank you so much for explaining that in detail. Now, I know you mentioned earlier that people who are 50 plus, so the Redox works only with people who are 50 plus, or um, any
No,
person can jump in? And also, can you give us some area besides just giving the benefit of aging? Is there something specific that, let's say, young person, what will a young person take um the
I'm
product?
I'm holding up a box of our skincare product that I use
I
myself.
see. Yeah. Okay.
Renew, Renew Skincare, Renew Advanced Skincare System.
Hmm.
This is the hydrating cream. This
Okay.
is the toner.
Okay.
This is the cleaning. I use these products and I'm 70. You don't get to look this good if you don't have a little help. The skin needs help too. So for elasticity, for tone, for hydration. But what's important to the question that you asked, we produce these at birth. Everything is starting at the DNA level.
Hmm.
But at what we've measured, what scientists have measured is we have lost the efficacy of the molecules at 50. So we've lost half. Now, if you could supplant, if you could supplement, if you could put back these stabilized four molecules, sodium, hydrogen, sodium and chloride, which in all intents and purposes, we would call that salt or salt water. People,
Hmm.
when they're thinking about the ingredients, when they pick up the bottle and say salt water, I'm not spending $5,000 for salt water. But here's the
Hmm.
point. When you buy a cake, chocolate, lemon, strawberry, whatever the flavor of the cake is, when you pick up the box and you turn around and look at the ingredients, it doesn't say cake. It says flour, salt, eggs, milk, oil, butter, right?
Yeah, it
So
gives you the
it
ingredients.
gives you the ingredients. So on our bottles, the FDA says, well, you have to give us ingredients. And what the ingredients are sodium and chloride, hydrogen and oxygen, and those two compounds are salt water. But because it goes through a patented electrolysis process by pulling out these ions, the nuclei, both positive and negative charges, that at the state of redox potential, here is hydrogen and oxygen, but it's always looking for a place to rest, these energy molecules. And so if you think about when you take a solid like sodium and chloride or salt, it dissolves in water because those energy states that are looking hydrogen and oxygen, those positive and negative ions, looking for a place to rest, they dissolve into chloride and sodium. And so how does then you take this soluble, water soluble product and then get it back up the hill? Let's say if there was a ball to come back, it takes electrolysis, it takes more energy. And so an electrical charge is applied to these molecules to take it back up to a peak of redox potential. The body uses it, it gets dissolved, and that process is cyclical. It's always, we call that homeostasis balance of positive and negative, positive and negative. So the body is using it, and sometimes it's imbalanced. And when there's an imbalance, we either have too many oxidants or we have too many reductants. We also call that reactive oxygen species or oxidative stress. So that stress, like if you took iron and left it out in the rain water, right?
Yeah.
Over time, metal interacts with the iron molecules and it turns brown. Or an apple, the oxygen molecules, if you leave it out, if you're bitten into it, it turns brown. That's the reactive oxygen species or oxidative stress that we are witnessing. So imagine what's going on in every single cell. That balance is rust, is the body's working it through its liver and its internal systems to keep the body clean through its blood and through hydration through water. By replenishing these molecules, same thing when you're going for an IV in the hospital, the first thing they give you is salt water or saline, which is not the exact same thing as relaxing molecules, but the ingredients are the same.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that information. Now, if I hear somebody listening right now is like, I want to get in touch with Dr. Hill, what is your contact information, please? You can
My
say
first
it and then we can
yeah, that's a good question. I'm trying to make you the distributor so they don't have to call me. They can just get it directly from you as the distributor. But the easy way for, if you want Dr. Hill to just have the product distributed to you, is to go to ASEAglobal.com/TOMB1495. It's like tomb 1495. That's not when I was buried. That's just some numbers that I made up. But it's ASEAglobal.com, TOMB1495.
Okay, fantastic. Would you allow people to reach out on your phone?
Yeah, well, that would be,
the phone number?
They could do that as well at the area code 331-425-5238.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Hill. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to do this interview. We appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen, if you did not hear any of what he said, you're going to have the information in the description. So if you go on YouTube or wherever you found the video, you're going to have the contact details in the description. And if you cannot see that, you know how to get in touch with me. You can get in touch with me and I'll guide you on how to reach out to Dr. Hill.
Hopefully you'll give them your own number and they can just get the product from you.
I know you want me to do this. Absolutely.
Oh no, I don't want you to do this. I just want you to earn a couple of nickels so that we can help you and your family. But you know, if I have no problem helping others and fattening my bank account as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Hill. It was a pleasure having you. I'm honored to have you for this interview. May God bless you.
Thank you.
We're going to have you very soon again on another topic.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. We end here.
All right.
All right.